Hello everyone, nice to be back. Hope you are doing fantastic. This is Juan Castillo and welcome to the DNAVerse podcast. As DNAVerse is the world's first NFT collection individually customized with real DNA and built on a decentralized platform to add value and utility to our community. This podcast goal is to open up the space to decentralized science, bring the most interesting profiles and best profiles of professionals we find around. Today is not an exception. Our next guest is a medical doctor with 14 years of clinical, pharmacological, and consulting career that took the entrepreneur path several years ago. So I would like to introduce you to Michael Kaldasch, the CEO and founder of iMedis. Michael, welcome to the podcast. Great having you with us.
Thank you very much, Juan, for having me here. Hello to the audience. Hope everyone's doing well.
Fantastic. Michael, you are from Germany, correct?
Yeah, originally I'm from Germany, now living in the Netherlands.
Fantastic, beautiful country, right? Both of them. As I told you before, I'm living in Hamburg for the last 10, 12 years. Beautiful city, beautiful country. Something else for holidays, I would say. In the last 2 years, doing summer around the north of Germany, Scandinavia. It's something else from being from Spain. It's a different contrast, but I'm enjoying so much being here, actually.
Yeah, Hamburg's a beautiful city. So one of the good choices in Germany, definitely.
One of the good choices, yeah, good. Spot on then. As a first question to you, and or as an introduction question, I would like you to ask you maybe to tell us a bit more about your journey. How did you end up where you are today, specifically founding iMedis, and maybe tell us about the company and what it's all about.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Okay, iMedis. So as you said, I'm a medical doctor. I've been working in hospital for a very long time, so I have a lot of clinical experience and founded the company back in 2017 with my partner, Ben. He's also a doctor, has basically a very similar CV, and we've been working a lot of time together also in hospital and saw a lot of issues there. And I don't think I have to tell you guys about these issues because everyone knows, right? So fragmented healthcare systems everywhere, it's different. People are not able to see doctors frequently. There is a problem with data. So when you go to one doctor and then you go to another one, both doctors only have their own data and these typical things. And we said, okay, we need to develop a system that at least partially fixes these issues, and started to develop a healthcare platform that was just there exchanging data between hospitals, doctors, and patients. Mm-hmm. And worked quite well. And then we said, okay, we have to bring this to a professional level. And based on that, build iMedis. And we said, okay, because of the fact that healthcare systems are different in every country, and we don't want to be just focused on one country, we want to be there for people all over the world. We said, okay, we have to build an ecosystem that really combines all relevant e-health applications in one place and does not create barriers because we have too many apps, like one app for diabetes, one app for video chat, one app for prescriptions, that's not good. People will not use it. Hospitals and doctors cannot use it. And thus we said, okay, we build an ecosystem that combines all these things, and started with the ecosystem back in 2020. And due to the fact that we were always in the blockchain sector, always since 2015, and we said, okay, blockchain is a good use case for medicine too, not as a storage for data, but as a transparency layer, basically. So we integrated an enterprise blockchain into the system and added on top a token that we released last year. And started with that. And then the topic was, okay, what is so important about medicine and healthcare? So it's not like having single applications, but the most valuable thing about healthcare is the data, right? So we took care of that. And as you said, I've also been working in the pharmaceutical space for some time, and Ben did too. And the experience showed that it's super difficult to get high quality medical data. And if you have high quality medical data, how do you bring it to someone who's interested in it? When it's difficult to monetize the data, to mainstream the data. And statistics say that up to 30% of all data flowing around are somehow healthcare related, but there's still no way of really handling this data and make people use this data, and give people the power to use this data. And so we said, how can we do it? And then decided to build the world's first medical NFT marketplace, because we think that NFTs are one vehicle that really makes it easier and makes it understandable and practical to sell medical data and to transport medical data and to participate everyone involved in the process, including the patient, with NFTs. So that was that step. And then we said, okay, what is the next logical step? The metaverse. And I know this is a lot of these typical buzzwords, blockchain, NFTs, and metaverse, but it really makes sense in healthcare, because we are creating a world, a 3D world based on Unreal Engine. And now that Unreal Engine 5 has been launched, we are instantly going to Unreal Engine 5. So build a AAA game graphics metaverse where we bring together all these players that we already have in the system, the patients, the families, but also the doctors, the therapists, the pharmacies, hospitals, insurers, the industry, everyone involved, to offer them a new service level. People always ask us, okay, you guys want to replace doctors and hospitals? And we say, no, we will not replace doctors and hospitals, because it's impossible. So if someone has abdominal pain or someone is really sick, he has to go to a doctor, he has to go to a hospital. There's no discussion about that. But there are so many use cases where you can serve the needs of patients and of also the industry and the healthcare providers by providing such a metaverse. And in the end, it's also about data. So the metaverse also produces and uses a lot of medical data. And yeah, so that's basically what we do. We have this complete medical ecosystem with blockchain tokens, all these e-health apps, metaverse, and data marketplace. And we think that this is the right approach to face the challenges of healthcare in the 21st century. Now that Corona, I mean, it's not gone, it's still ongoing. Corona has shown a lot of weaknesses inside the healthcare spaces and in the different healthcare systems around the world. And we think that we can cope with a lot of these problems with our system.
Absolutely. I think you threw already some gems in there. You're talking about globalizing the data, having access everywhere, so you have a common point where doctors everywhere, if you go on travel on holidays, or you are just going to another country or to a different, even a region from within your country, they can share this data safely, securely, have your medical record, which is at the end of the day is what you need to know. We don't need to start calling email me the record or faxing or whatever method they use right now. And this is something really important, because then you can translate or give this power to the owner of the data to monetize, right? To do an use of your own data. We have been seeing this in advertising, commercially, but it's rare to use your personal information as a tool to earn some sort of income or some sort of rewards, right? We are doing something similar at DNAVerse with the DNA, but this is the same. You are moving in a space which is healthcare. I don't know if, I'm just guessing, but finance, insurance, and healthcare, probably those three are one of the three major industries around the world, not only the economic power behind, but it's the massive public, the crowd behind this, that they use these systems, right? Which is mostly everywhere, and that you are providing this solution. It's fantastic. I think people would benefit so much for using a centralized platform with the secure data that you can share. I think this is a fantastic solution. Obviously, it's complex. The adoption, I believe, is what you are, or the business development of the platform. It's to the challenge beside the develop itself, because you need to reach so many parts and you coordinate so many different parties. Okay, we need to integrate this in the same system, which you already offer, but always this resistance to change. It's always the challenge, right? But certainly you are adding so much value to the industry that is astonishing. You mentioned some sort of benefits and values you add. So specifically, what are the real benefit that IMED is offer to partners and users? I mean, what's the main service that a new patient can use in your metaverse? You say you can attend the doctor. What would you tell to those people out there? Say, okay, this is our system. This is yours. Come into ours. This is what we give you.
One thing I want to mention before I answer the question, is very important, is the data security and the anonymity of the patients. So it's not like we extract data from the patients' databases and monetize them. It's, as you say, patients actively opt in and actively decide to monetize their data. So they only share these data with institutions, researchers, etc. on a free level. That's the first thing. So it's never mandatory. People are never forced to share their data, and they always stay anonymous. So we're speaking about depersonalized, anonymous medical and scientific data that is shared with customers, and the people that give this data, that spend the data anonymously, they are rewarded for that. So there is basically a win-win situation for everyone. It's not like something's happening in the background and someone is
Yeah.
exploiting the data. That's never happening. We don't know about the medical data that our customers store inside the system. So we want to build trust. People have a lot of trust issues with medical data, and we totally understand that, because it's valuable data. It's the things that really concern you and your family, and maybe the things that you will do in the future, or the possibilities that you have as a human being. So this has to be protected 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what we absolutely do at all times. So the platform is a medical product. We are GDPR compliant. We fulfill all the required standards. And yeah, so
it does ring a bell to us, because we are actually doing the same. For us, the ethical use of data is really important, right? And
very important.
Being in Europe, the GDPR is quite strict. But if we're talking about medical records, or in our case, genetics and DNA records, you are given the option of, first of all, anonymously, to use it anonymously, and then not to touch this data, right? We are not in possession of this. You are, as a user, and you opt in the system and authorize who is doing what with your data, but we are not the one controlling. It's decentralized, secure, safe. And this, I think this is the way the world should be evolving. Honestly, we have seen so much openness during COVID with the vaccine. We changed the mentality of sharing information right away of a vaccine and showing the passport or whatever, for good or bad reasons. Everybody can decide on that. But I think we lost a bit the sensitivity of what you show, or what kind of information you provide to different people.
The thing is that we also try to apply these rules. And as you said, GDPR rules, HIPAA compliance rules in the US are one of the hardest data security rules, and we try to apply these also to areas where they are not applicable normally. So we also protect people's data if they're from Bangladesh or from Lesotho, wherever they come from. We apply these data security and integrity rules to give people also the understanding that their data is valuable. Because when you take a look at some practices around the world where people are exploited for data, for whatsoever, people are not aware of the value that data is. And this is a big opportunity for people, so they can monetize their data, depersonalized, and can earn a lot of money with that, and can pay for medical bills. Also in areas where maybe there is no health insurance system, where people do not earn 3,000 euros a month or so. So this is a real opportunity, and we want to give people this tool, their data, and show them, okay, you have the data, it's valuable, you can use it. On the other hand, we still protect them by applying the rules that we are used to. So that's very important. And as you asked me, what is the product, or what is the USP that we give patients? So we bridge, let me start differently. A patient, or a chronically ill patient even, 95% of their time they're at home. They're not in a hospital, they're not at the doctors, they're sitting at home or wherever, and have to cope with their healthcare status, with their health, with their conditions and whatsoever. And we try to fill this gap, these 95%. We want to be there for the patients, but also for the professional healthcare providers, because they also have issues when they are not in touch with the patients. A good example is, I prescribe a medication to a patient because I know it helps them. Maybe they have a heart failure and I prescribe a new medication. And then the patient goes to the pharmacy, grabs the medication, goes home, opens the box and picks out this paper. And then he reads it. Oh my God, he says, I don't want to take this. It will kill me. I will not take it. Boom. And that's done. And in this time, the doctor has no control over this, because patients are left alone, and they are in fear of these issues and of possible side effects the medication has. And I totally get it, because when you read these papers, you would take the medication, throw it away, because you say, I don't take it, this is poison. But in reality, it's much more dangerous to not take the medication. So you have to be there for the patient during the time that the patient is not in touch with a doctor. And that's what we try to fill with all these services: e-health, metaverse. So this is, the e-health and health services that we provide, and the data to monetize and to use that pool of data. Everyone needs this data. It creates big opportunities for researchers. It generates opportunities for the future of mankind. This data is a real treasure, and we help to get this treasure and to use the treasure for the good of everyone.
Absolutely. I would call it even healthcare on demand, right? You could be 24/7 connected to the platform and not only be having your records, that you see the doses per day that you need to take, so you don't get mistaken. But also your doctor could see your allergies, for example. When you go to a doctor, say, okay, what are your allergies? Any medicament, any drug? Sometimes you forget, right? When you were a child, you took something, you don't take it anymore, and then you forget about it. So they can see this at all times. Maybe the medicine they're giving you is a different brand, but it's the same component. So maybe when you add it in the system, maybe you get a little warning alarm. Okay, you could be allergic to this. And you raise a point that I think it's really interesting, which is you use the data to pay your own bills, right? Like you could be even paying your medical insurance. Like if it's a private insurance, something, you just turn the income of this to cover your fees, for example. This is something that is fantastic, giving this utility, not only for you guys, for the pool, to use the pool of data for research, for having this massive amount of information, but individually, you can do use of something that you normally don't have or don't use. And we're talking about what you are, your information. You could just put it in the system and just cash in, basically.
The thing is that big tech companies like Facebook and Instagram, why are they so valuable? They have billions of users. Okay, exactly. That's the one thing. But what makes it so valuable? It's the data they get from these users. And exactly. I mean, when we look at Facebook, they earn a lot of money with advertising due to the fact that they have the information that Mrs. Schmidt went to cinema last week. Who cares? But in the end, that's something that really is important for the industry, because they know, okay, Mrs. Schmidt likes cinema. I sent her advertisements of cinema, and maybe she goes again and pays for that service. So I have there is this relation. But medical data is so much more valuable and much more critical, and that's why the data protection systems in medicine have to be completely different than in these normal retail platforms style. But it's the same mechanism behind it that generates the value and participates the data owners. And Facebook and Instagram do not participate their users in that. At least I'm not aware of that, and we do that. So
yeah, exactly. They're centralized, right? It's a big company is holding data and doing or giving a commercial use to it. That's it. It's as simple as that. You consent, you opt in. That's it. This is your data. Use it, but you don't get any reward. Basically, it's the other way around. You just get offered more advertising, more, I would say, personalized content and information. But the real beneficiary at the end is the centralized company and the advertising company, because those are putting in front of you all this information. So yeah, it's pretty remarkable what you guys are doing. I have a question. Do you integrate with on healthcare providers, maybe as a white label solution or API, or is in your roadmap to become a healthcare provider globally yourself? What's your roadmap here?
So we are not offering a white label solution. We have been asked for that several times, and we don't want to do that because we don't see the benefit. Because you're again creating data silos. We haven't spoken about data silos, but having a lot of platforms is good. Offering these services is always good, but it doesn't make sense to create more and more data silos. So our goal is to create even more open platform and participate the community and people around the world when it comes to development and integration. So we are speaking and already actively third-party tools into the system, because we say, okay, this is much better than what we have. Let's offer it on our platform and give patients the possibility to use your service using our platform.
Yeah.
And it's good to have this open platform idea. And we integrate, but we definitely integrate with professional existing healthcare IT via FHIR. That's one of these standards. I think you're right, the medical connection standards, because hospitals and certain healthcare institutions will not just throw away their software because now IMEDIS comes with a new solution. That's not how it's going. So we have to adapt, and we have to be interoperable to speak with different systems, right? In the US, in Europe, wherever. Yeah, that's definitely the case.
Okay, so basically you are attracting partners to provide solutions within your platform, and obviously the more partners you have, the more solutions you are.
Exactly. We also, with the metaverse, we engage. We are shortly before stopping the cooperations, because we got so many requests and so many people say, hey, we want to be part of that. We want to work with you. How can we contribute to that?
Yeah.
So we're actually integrating all these parties that have approached us and that we also approached. But in the end, the metaverse will be a community project. So it's not like we built all this infrastructure. It will be the community and the people using it that will make this a valuable product in the end. So we are very much interested in connecting also to other metaverses, to other platforms, to other people. We meet frequent competitors because there are so many great people out there that have so many good ideas, and where we think, okay, hey, that's much better than what we do, or it's a much better idea. Let's do it like that, and let's cooperate and let's learn from each other. So that is very important.
Yeah, I think we are in the space of collaboration, right? We are building on blockchain, metaverses. You need of others. You just do everything on your own. As you say, if you do something that is great, somebody is doing the similar with different variables or even better than you. And the smart move is to just to partner up, to do something together. We cross community content. You bring yours, we bring you ours, and then let's see what happens. I think that's the whole spirit of this ecosystem, right? We are building all together. First of all, because I think it's healthy, and second of all, because we are so new in the industry that there are so many problems to be solved and obstacles and barriers, not only developing technologically, but also regulations and laws. It's something that everybody should be pushing together. From the top of my head, I'm just thinking of patents, utility patents for medical instruments or resource. It's actually legal to do this online. It's actually legal to do this virtually with somebody that is not there, or maybe with an avatar that you think is a person, but maybe there's so many implications behind down the line that you go deeply in the rabbit hole. You need partners to solve the situation, and this is something that we're trying to do in the DNAVerse, right? For example, if you do an avatar, you need to know that it's a person behind. Maybe it's typing, maybe it's talking, but the AI technology is evolving so quick that in 10 years you will have a doctor talking to you and you don't know. Maybe if this person is human verified, it's like, okay, this is my doctor, this is talking to me. It's a person thinking, it's not an algorithm. There are different levels of, I would say, science fiction that in 5-10 years, instead of going to the doctor, we put the goggles, call, do AR, VR, and then just go through all the systems. Okay, this is my medical space, I call it.
What we also think is very important, that all this technology, as good as it is and as helpful as it is, should never replace the personal contact between people. Because exactly. I don't know if you also experienced it during that time when there was COVID and all these lockdowns, and you always were in Zoom calls or Meet calls or Teams calls. It just doesn't replace the direct contact to people. You shake their hands, you see them face to face, you laugh, you have this energy flowing between people. And especially in medicine, when people are sick, they need a helping hand, and a physical helping hand, not like a video chat and say, oh, okay, yeah, have a great day. And that's not how it should be. Also, the metaverse should always be an additional service layer who is there when you're just not able to see a doctor or maybe someone you share the same condition with in person. But it should never replace, and I hope will never replace, the contact between people, because that's what causes a lot of issues. So
the social interaction, right? At the end of the day, it's a human interaction. That, as I told, that's why we are doing what we're doing, because you need to have this contact. As you said, during COVID, how many trivial online colleagues were doing, but after the second one, it's not the same, right? It's not the same fun. It's not the same interaction you have with colleagues, with people. And this is something that eventually in the future will be a challenge. I think the technology will evolve to a point of being so real into this environment that you need to have the layer that you are missing from the real life. It sounds crazy, it sounds science fiction, but I think we are heading in this direction. And healthcare, I'm just thinking, for example, like if you are attending your physician and then you have a question that maybe he's an specialist, maybe that person can dial right away to somebody, to another specialist, and just jumping advice, for example, right? You don't need to wait weeks until this happens. So I think that the utility and the use business, case studies behind it, it's fantastic. I do have a question. When you found the company, did you envision the metaverse, the NFTs, the blockchain? Because you mentioned 2016, 17, maybe a bit early for NFTs for sure, but for metaverses and so on. So what was your vision to integrate this on Web3? That was just blockchain, and then you have been scaling up as we went throughout the years. So what was your approach to the evolution of your product?
So the blockchain was there from the very first minute. It was one of the ideas that we came up with when we founded the company, when we built the system. because I can give you a practical example. And I spoke about trust issues that people have, right? So you store medical data in an e-health platform in the cloud, and someone says, I don't trust that company. They say they are safe. They say they're a medical product. They have an SSL certificate, and maybe they have encrypted databases. But what do I know who accesses the data? Maybe my employer gets a copy. Maybe my insurance gets an access to it. And we said, okay, how can we deal with that, at least up to a certain level? And we said, okay, a blockchain, well, only the patient is the holder of the private key, and that mirrors the actions happening inside his or her system, can fix that up to a certain point, because the patients can follow up exactly what happened to their medical data, who accessed it, and who added information or saw the data, saw the information. And so we thought, okay, the blockchain is a very important tool that we have to integrate from day one. The NFTs, no, we didn't have that on screen in the first 2 years. We first came up with the idea back in 2020, end of 2020, when we said, okay, how do we monetize medical data? And in the beginning, we weren't very sure about that. We had some issues and thought, okay, maybe it's not the right approach, but we thought about how can you do it differently. And we spoke about several use cases, and you guys are the perfect example with the DNA, right? So how do I give away my DNA? If I give you a letter that contains my blood pressure values from last week and the week before, no one cares. But your DNA data, that is you, it's you. And you don't want that floating around in the internet. So we said, okay, how do we fix this? How do we build a tool that really makes it possible to transfer sensitive data like that? And the conclusion was an NFT, a non-fungible token, due to the nature of non-fungible tokens. So I don't have to go into the details, but it's maybe not the only, but one of the only mechanisms to transfer medical information and make it possible to follow it up and to know what happened to your data. Although you stay anonymous, you can follow up, okay, who got the data. So that was very important. And the metaverse, we started building in 2021. So first, when there was Decentraland and all these things, I thought, I've always been in computer gaming and game development, and from my teenage time on in 3D games and building levels and stuff like that. So I said, okay, I always thought about something like that, but the problem is the hardware, because most of the people didn't have the hardware before and the CPU power and the GPU to get us to use a system like that. And with the new technology that came up in the last years, every iPhone, every Android smartphone has a super performant computer inside and makes it possible to play these contents. And so we said, okay, let's build a metaverse now and integrate that. And we also thought about, okay, what about using existing metaverses for that? But the issue is that none of the metaverses you have is regarding the GDPR compliance stuff, the HIPAA compliance, the medical data integrity thing. So it's just not possible from a technical point of view. And it doesn't matter because it's not their focus, right? Most of these metaverses are focused on retail and on advertisement. That's all cool. Entertainment, party, music, whatsoever. But medical data has to be treated differently. Thus, you need a separate system to handle that and to still have a medical grade product. So that's...
You mentioned about the NFTs, how you use a non-fungible token as a way to include the information behind there. So you can actually trade with that. It's just choice to sell it if you want to sell it in the secondary market. And this is like a power that you give to the user. And this is your record. If you want to sell it, it's up to you. But if not, you can stake it. You can do so many things with it. That's the utility beyond the art, right? The art is really subjective. Maybe you like what you see, or maybe you don't. But the data that you are conveying, both visually and metadata behind it, it's so powerful. How do you envision companies adopting this approach? And obviously, you are really 100% focused on this. What about traditional corporation, hospital? How do you see them adopting not only your solution, but blockchain in general?
It's a difficult topic. The thing is that healthcare is a very conservative field. So it's not like you go to a hospital, to a doctor and say, hey guys, we have a blockchain platform. They say, hey, welcome. They will say, what are you guys doing there, and why, and is it safe, and what are the issues? Does it endanger classical business models? There are a lot of variables when it comes to healthcare IT. But the thing is that each of the people, each player, and no matter where you go, either in the US, in Europe, in Asia, wherever, knows that the system has to change.
Yeah.
COVID has accelerated that. Even before COVID, it was obvious that the systems would not work like they did in the past. But COVID has accelerated that very quickly. And everyone knows there has to be a change. Also, speaking about the changes when it comes to regulators, to the government, they're just not, healthcare systems are not made for that, but they will have to adapt to the situation, because in the end, there is someone who demands that. There is the patient, and there are the healthcare providers, and they say, guys, we don't care about regulations, do something. We have to adapt to this now, because we are now switching from the industrial age to the information technology age. So e-health and all these things, data, metaverse, not only medicine, will be an essential part of that new age. And regulators have to adopt, governments have to adopt, and also the mindset of the people that are in medicine that are thinking very conservatively will have to change towards that. And a lot of people see that. So we have very positive feedback also from big pharma, from big health tech companies, from hospital chains. So we have several players on board, university hospitals, hospital chains that said, okay, we really do not yet understand what will be the final use case for the metaverse, but we want to be part of that, because we have understood that there has to be change made, there has to be changes. And so I'm very positive towards that. And we are exploring, and you guys do it too. We explore a completely new thing here. So we are setting new standards, which is a lot of fun in the end, because you show people, okay, guys, that's how it will work. And we work together, and we create these standards together, and we'll lead the people out of this conservative thinking into this new age, I think.
Yeah, I think we are seeing the same approach with the internet, right? E-commerce.
Yeah.
The small shop were not adopting until they just were forced to. We are seeing that the rails of the new system everywhere in any industry is going to be blockchain. However you want to call it, whatever chain they prefer, it's going to be like this. And then you're going to have people like you guys, like us, doing the genetic part. You're going to be offered such a solution that people are going to be demanding it. And as soon as, I wouldn't say corporation, just all the industries and all the companies out there, they would say, okay, this is something that people want. Even though the regulations are not there, even though the politics are not up to speed to adopt those, people will be demanding those that will be changing, like Spotify, like that. There's so many examples out there that they just went flow into the system, like Netflix, and now it's just part of our lives. And this is going to be also one of them. Yeah, I think the healthcare is just a tremendous industry. The uses and the application behind is just almost endless. And you already mentioned us about the genetics, how we are doing something similar, doing the learning curve, the disruptive part. It's our mission right now. As you say, it's fun. Sometimes it's a pain to present to people what are we doing and explain all over again, almost one-to-one, about the ethical uses of data, about how we're going to do this, what is actually this. So how do you see our product, our service at DNAVerse, genetics, NFTs in the metaverse, geneticizing avatars, as we call it, bio avatars, bio metaverse. We discussed already about chatting with bots, that we need some sort of social interaction and be certain that we have a doctor behind and not an AI. What do you think about what we're doing at DNAVerse?
I think this will be one of the major drivers in technological advances and in research, because this is the next level that research needs. Not only in a way that it's fancy and looks great and we have this information, but also in bringing people together and working on this much more interactively. Because when you open up a book, it's two-dimensional. If you have an internet page, it's a different level, right? So this because you add trust. The NFTs, the blockchain technology, it adds trust. So people from there that are distant 10,000 kilometers, they can work together and trust each other, right? Because they know they can rely on the technology. I think that's very important. So I think what you guys do is also a very good milestone, and it's one of the things that are inevitable when it comes to future technology and to better research.
Yeah, that's how we envision, as you described perfectly. I think it's something that is going to be required. almost. It's going to be part of the system, and people will be demanding us. They will be demanding your solution as well. And for like a closing question, in general, how do you see a decentralized ecosystem in science? How do you think science in general, or life of science industry, is going to be benefiting from a decentralized solution?
It makes you independent from the industry. It makes you not completely independent, let's be realistic, but it makes you more independent. It gives you the possibility swarming. So a lot of people work together and can reach things that were unthinkable like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And due to the fact that you are not only having the people working together, but also the people financing things. So that's one of the topics that we also are following. So we will support pharmaceutical projects that will be financed with a crowd, and that are not like a lot of research is financed by single players, which can be fine. So it's not okay. Everyone says, "Oh, pharma is this is not true." There is a lot of good things happening, but I think this will add a new level of possibilities. Let's talk about rare diseases. So there are some rare diseases that are not researched so intensively because it is almost impossible to earn a certain amount of money because it's a rare disease. And I mean, the industry and the pharma industry, they have to decide, and they have to decide for products that make money because they are having shareholders, they have the structure, they have to pay things. That's the world. That's how the world goes, and that's nothing bad. It's just the reality. But this change will give people the possibility to use or to take advantage of crowd loans, of the crowd itself, of people that come together from all over the world and whose force is focused in this one point. So maybe there's someone from Greenland, someone from Iceland, and someone from South Africa who says, I want to participate in this, and I'm very much interested in supporting the research in this rare disease. I think that's a fantastic opportunity, and will walk hand in hand with what big pharma and what the classical healthcare industry does.
The connection, right? Connecting the community worldwide. Just find the right players and the right people around the world. Say, okay, I want to research on this disease or on this topic. You don't need to be in the same country. You don't need to be under the same institution. Receive the funds from X or from Y. I said, opening your arms. Okay, guys, I'm welcoming here whoever wants to join into this research. And it's something, that I haven't seen somewhere else. I see this as a crowdfunding, right? It's a crowdfunding 2.0, which is people just put the money there in a different way. We just adding a DAO, a decentralized or autonomous organization, and you just jumped in the wallet. Guys, vote. This is democratized. What do we do with this? We can donate it. We can do research, and this is, as you will say, it's opening the it's not totally decentralized, but at some point it keeps out hand to also nice have research, right? Sometimes it's not about the utility. Sometimes it's just nice information and education behind that. Maybe, as you say, pharmaceuticals and corporations, obviously they respond to shareholders, and if they don't have this motivation behind, they don't fund it. And maybe also the educational curve behind it will be exponential, because we're going to be finding out about fungus or whatever thing that you're interested in, right?
Yeah, absolutely true. But also big pharma will be able to use that as a tool, because they are interested in doing these kind of researches, and it gives them new tools to maybe do new things in the future.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, I think it has been a pleasure. I think we have been 45 minutes on the clock, and it has been a tremendous, I would say, impact on how I see healthcare right now. The possibilities, the amount of use cases you have behind it is astonishing. I would recommend everybody to follow Michael on the social media, and also visit imedis.io. I think the portal is fantastic. You can see exactly all the solutions they're offering, how they're offering. They have a demo, they have YouTube, some sort of presentation. You can have the feel and look of what they're offering, and honestly, you're gonna be surprised. Michael, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Juan, for inviting me and for the great talk we had.
Yeah, thank you so much. So everybody, I would just recommend you to follow us. You will have the handles around here. We are on social media, Twitter, Discord. We're building also something really great. As you can see, the utility and cases behind, you can just connect with different players in the industry like Michael and IMEDIS. This is going to be great. So stay tuned, and see you next one. Ciao.